Dr. Manhattan facts. Super stoked about this one, guys. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Big Blue creation was one of the most iconic characters in the history of comic books, having spawned many an existential dialogue about the superhero genre and the philosophy that comes with it. He's a beautifully crafted character that really evoked a response from readers. So it's about damn time we did a list on him. So here's our top 10 Dr. Manhattan surprising facts.
I never said the Superman exists and he is American. What I said was, God exists and he is American.
And at number 10 is he was named after the Manhattan Project. Starting off our list with a fact that most of you probably already know, Dr. Manhattan was named after the real-life Manhattan Project. For those of you who don't know, the Manhattan Project was a research and development undertaking led by the US during World War II that led to the production of the very first nuclear weapons. And at number 9 is the unproduced Watchmen film. Back in the 90s, a Watchmen film was almost produced, with Terry Gilliam as the director and Joel Silver as the producer on the project. And guess who was supposed to play Dr. Manhattan? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Considering his portrayal of Mr. Freeze, well, I'm kinda glad that didn't happen. I think that's enough Blue Arnold for my liking. Speaking of blue, and at number 8 is his color. When designing Dr. Manhattan, Dave Gibbons suggested riffing off of his blue character Rogue Trooper, and the blue skin motif, except use a different hue. Alan Moore was down for this, and Gibbons actually commented that when juxtaposed with the rest of the comic, the color scheme actually really helps Manhattan look unique. And at number 7 is his nudity. While during his first several years as Manhattan, Jon decides to wear a black leotard to help normalize himself with the rest of society. But he does eventually ditch it, going with what felt more comfortable, which is nudity. Alan Moore wasn't sure if this nudity was going to fly with DC though, but it did, partially to Gibbons being very selective when using full frontal nudity in panels. Gibbons also gave Manhattan what he called understated genitals, in order to make his dick less of an eye grabber. And at number 6 is the origin of the intrinsic field subtractor. The intrinsic field subtractor that Jon Osterman gets stuck in spawns his transformation into Dr. Manhattan, and it's based off of real science, not just fiction. The term intrinsic field isn't a term used in science, but there is another way to describe a field holding everything together aside from gravity: electromagnetism. It's the force that holds your atoms together, along with a strong nuclear force and a weak nuclear force that work on the inside of your nuclei inside your atoms. To recreate that unification, you would need an extremely powerful particle accelerator, something that would have to be a trillion times stronger than anything mankind has already invented. Something like that intrinsic field subtractor chamber. And at number 5 is his voice. In the graphic novel, Dr. Manhattan's speech bubbles are blue, while other characters are the regular white. When creating the 2009 Watchmen film, director Zack Snyder and actor Billy Crudup discussed whether or not he would like to have some sort of godlike voice, in tangent with what was implied with those speech bubbles. But instead, they opted out and decided to go with an ungodlike voice, feeling it would be more effective, and being a voice that he would have selected himself with a tone that would put others at ease when in his presence. Because, you know, he's all godlike and whatnot. Terror and awe. And at number 4 is inspired by Captain Atom. Alan Moore has stated that Dr. Manhattan was based on DC's Captain Atom, but in the writing process he delved in much further than he initially thought he would, exploring nuclear and quantum physics. He believed that a character living in a quantum universe wouldn't perceive time with a linear perspective, influencing Manhattan's perception of human affairs and ultimately causing his indifference towards humanity. He also used Spock from Star Trek as an influence too, that whole emotionlessness and whatnot. And at number 3 is the physics of superheroes. James Kakalius is a physics professor at the University of Minnesota, and he wrote a book called The Physics of Superheroes where he discusses the physics behind a lot of your favorites, from how Spider-Man's webbing failed to save Gwen Stacy to how Krypton really exploded. And of course he touches on the quantum physics behind Dr. Manhattan. He even has a video called Science of Watchmen, which has been viewed over 1.6 million times, and even won a regional Emmy in the Advanced Media Arts and Entertainment category. While there's a whole lot to get into, from how the accident could have realistically contributed to Jon's powers to his teleportation and molecular reassembling abilities, we just don't have enough time to fully dive into this in this video. But hey, if you guys want us to do a science behind superheroes list, let us know in those comments below. And at number 2 is scientifically accurate. Speaking of James Kakalius, the Watchmen film and the science behind Dr. Manhattan is pretty accurate, or at least as accurate as it can be for an omnipotent godlike fictional character. Kakalius was a science consultant on the film, and gave advice on multiple aspects behind the scenes, from the way the physics labs were set decked to the quantum mechanics to how Dr. Manhattan would interact with his surroundings, which ended up informing a lot of the film's aesthetics and mise-en-scène. And finally, in at number 1 is DC Rebirth. Okay, so major spoiler alert here, guys, in case you haven't been in the loop with some of the more recent stuff DC has been releasing, specifically the DC Rebirth stuff. So DC Rebirth has begun to introduce a new plot with Dr. Manhattan being a key part of it, and him having re-established the DC universe, or perhaps just shuffling it around. His blue energy has made several appearances so far, and it's heavily implied that he killed the Reverse Flash. And by heavily implied I mean like it's really damn obvious. Who, moments before his death, claims that he had seen God. Wonder who that could be. The New 52 reboot was also the work of Dr. Manhattan in an attempt to fix Barry Allen's timeline goof, and to bring it back to normal, but in the process removing a decade from it and resetting a bunch of stuff. So I guess, does this new revelation make Dr. Manhattan an antagonist? I don't know, guess we'll have to keep reading to find out. So there we have it, friends. Any facts about Jon Osterman that we should have included? Do you guys want more Watchmen lists on this channel? Let us know in those comments below. And as always, if you dug the video, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons so you never miss another nerdy list. I've been Kelly Pally for Top 10 Nerd, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.